Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Doggone Positive Way. My name is Maria, and we are on part 2 of, would you hire an AI training packet situation on the internet to train your dog? And do you think that a vagus nerve stimulation challenge is going to fix your dog's reactivity? Well, I started talking about this in part 1. And part 2, I kind of did a little bit of a deep dive, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole about the vagus nerve. I went to the AVMA, I just everything. And like I said, if I'm not hearing about something through the behavior community, through the behaviorists and scientists that I follow and other trainers that I follow using evidence-based methods to train, if I don't hear about it, it's probably a scam. Now, here's what's not a scam. The vagus nerve is not a scam, okay? We have a vagus nerve. Dogs have a vagus nerve. It runs from the base of your brain stem all the way down to your intestines, your small intestines, maybe large intestines. It controls your organs, like your heart, your lungs, your pancreas, your spleen, your stomach, diaphragm, just a lot. Okay. It's also a nerve that doesn't run through your spinal cord. I learned that today too. I was like, oh my God. So there's so many different things, but mostly what's out there in the scientific community is for humans. Even the AVMA spoke about vagus nerve stimulation, or not stimulation, but when we say stimulation, we're talking about like an actual electronic type of stimulation, not massage, not a pressure point, not acupressure, not acupuncture. That stimulation is literally a device, and this device can be planted under the skin. And also there is a device that goes on what's called the tragus, which is, hang on, sorry, my hair's growing. It's going to be cut off in the next couple days. But this part of your ear, like that little triangle thing, and I'll show you on Tony. I'll input it in here. He's sleeping right now. I don't want to wake him up. Let sleeping dogs lie, as it were. Anyway, so that stimulator, there's an outer stimulator that you can clip onto the tragus, but this is all for humans. And I'm like, okay. And then there's EMDR. I did EMDR as part of therapy for PTSD. So that stimulates your vagus nerve system. Different medications can, interfere or stimulate or suppress your vagus nerve. I listened to an anesthesiologist today. He was really cool. I think he said he was from San Francisco. But I also listened to some other dog trainers, and one dog trainer that I listened to, actually a couple were just kind of like in line with what I'm saying, is that if you have a reactive dog, yes, massage, whether it be Tellington touch or acupressure or just very, very, what do you call it? Like, just not patting your dog like, hey, buddy, but just very, what is that word that I'm looking for? Intentional. Hello. Very intentional touch, like, and adding pressure. We know that pressure helps. We know it with humans, with weighted blankets in the autism community, with weighted vest. There's a lot that we know about pressure and how it helps us feel safer. Thunder shirts, even an ace bandage. I had my little scrap man. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of him, put it over here. But I didn't want to spend $40 at the time on a thunder shirt. So I got an ace bandage. He was only like 9 pounds, 10 pounds. And I just wrapped it around him when he was stressing. And that pressure worked. So pressure definitely helps. So when you pet your animals, use intention and longer soothing strokes. I am not going to talk about acupuncture or acupressure or really anything in depth. I think those modalities are amazing. I've had acupuncture many times in my life, acupressure, massage. It's super important. And I think that those modalities can be part of your healing for your dog and to help their anxiety. But I don't want people to think that they're going to massage their dog's tragus or any part of them or give them what some people are like, I can do like a carotid massage on my dog. No, just like that is not going to transfer over to them, reacting to a dog, another animal, or a garbage can, for crying out loud. It doesn't even have to be another dog, right? So, and reactivity, a lot of kind of what I gathered from this new training advertisement that I saw that kind of started this whole thing was that, if you do these things with this reactive dog, if you do this Vagus Nerve Challenge, it's going to resolve your issues with your dog. They're going to learn how to relax by getting this massage. So again, it doesn't transfer over to out on your walks. What does transfer over is using just successive approximations and desensitizing your animal before they even see that dog or get to that dumpster or get to that sign on your walk, wherever you're walking, or that tree in the forest if you live in a very isolated area. I don't know where you live, but you understand what I'm saying. We're not going to take our pets right up to what is making them stressed out or overstimulating them to the point where they're so uncomfortable. Because when that happens with our animals and when it happens with ourselves, just think about how stressed you get when you lose your keys. You can't find them because you're freaking out. You've looked in the garbage. You've looked in the refrigerator. They're not anywhere there. But you're so anxious. You're like, I can't even think straight of where they would be. And guess what? They're just at the bottom of your purse, or they are hanging up on the hook by the door. They're just behind something else. So your learning and your problem solving has gone down because you're so stressed out. I want you guys to really remember that and remember those feelings that you get when you're stressed out, that somebody coming up and massaging you and rubbing your tragus is it's not going to work. I can tell you right now, that person might get punched by you. Who knows, right? So now, getting back to putting it into training terms. If you have a dog that is reactive, there are many things that I would suggest you do. If you call me up and say, hey, my dog I think they're aggressive, I think they are reactive, we're going to talk about what does that look like for you? Has your dog ever bitten anybody? Has your dog always behaved like this? Have you moved recently? Do you live was your dog raised in a quiet area or the country and you rescued them and you live in Tampa or you live in the city, wherever, right? So these are all things that we need to take into consideration. And again, we're treating your dog, your pet, like a whole being, not just nitpicking this, and that. So as a whole, with your dog, we're going to look at that. I'm going to send you to your veterinarian so that you can get blood work done. Let's see if there's something going on. I also want your veterinarian to put their hands all over your dog and examine them, manipulate their joints, their elbows, their knees, their hips. Let's see what's going on. Is there any pain? And, everything comes back awesome. Yay, great. That's one less thing you have to worry about. Now, even though we would do the same protocols with or without a medical problem, but let's talk about your dog's activity level. Are they getting enough exercise? Do they have enough enrichment toys? Are you making them work for you? Are you getting them to sit before they get their food, whether it comes in a bowl or out of a Kong? I hope it's out of a Kong or some other type of enrichment toy, not just free food. Or when you let them out and you call them to come to you. Are they reliable? Let's work on these things. Let's get their obedience solid, really solid. And then let's start working outside in the front. What are their triggers? Let's find out what their triggers are, and let's work them without their triggers. Once we get this great foundation in obedience, we're going to use that obedience. We're going to use a watch me. We're going to use a, let's go, and turn and walk the other way when you are in those situations where maybe there is no escape from that stimuli, but you're able to get out of there. Your dog's able to focus on you because you are reliable. You have laid a very strong foundation with them. You're using evidence-based methods. You're not using punishment. You're not using shock collars. You're not using choke chains. You're not using pinch collars. Okay? I don't care what you guys say about this. To me, if you use that type of equipment on a dog who is fearful, you're either going to shut them down and shut all the warnings down, and then you just have an attack of some sort at some point, or you can really exacerbate the aggression or the reactivity by punishing them. Really, when you're hurting them and when you're using a corrective measure, you are punishing them. You're using pain or fear to motivate them to behave. Well, that actually has a really negative consequence for you and your relationship, your trust with your dog. We don't want to squash their behavior. We want to understand it and modify it. And you modify it by teaching them that, hey, let's go this way. Come on. Are you going to use a ton of food in the beginning? Absolutely. Of course you are. Come on. We're not going to just expect your dog to be a machine, so you are going to reinforce a watch me. Your dog watches you, looks in your eyes. You give them a treat. They come with you. Let's go in the opposite direction. So we talk about laying this foundation with no distraction, and then maybe that distraction can be, like I mentioned before, at a distance before they're triggered. In these videos that I'm seeing about training and doing this Vagus Nerve Challenge, they're looking at a bunch of different situations. The video is, dogs that are definitely like, they're reacting, they're correcting the hell out of the dogs too, jerking them back and all that type of stuff. But they're also talking about dogs who play, and dogs who play and wrestle and bite on each other. As long as it's appropriate, there's appropriate play and inappropriate play. When dogs, especially puppies, just kind of they get together and they kind of gnaw on each other a little bit, they're learning bite inhibition. Their mothers teach them that. Their litter mates teach them that. Their age-appropriate playmates teach them bite inhibition. Bite inhibition is how hard do they bite? Are they hard biters? Are they soft? Are they leaving marks? Are they not leaving marks? That's why it's really important for age-appropriate, puppy teeth with puppy teeth, not, the other way around where you have adult, that may be inappropriate and may hurt a puppy. So we want them to learn inappropriate measures, and we can control that by group class or choosing their playmates for them. So getting back to the vagus nerve, and it is our parasympathetic, or the dog or cat, the parasympathetic nerve, and I wrote some notes down. This is not my forte. This part of science is not my forte, but the sympathetic nerve. Okay. So, sympathetic is fight or flight, and the parasympathetic is rest and digest, or chill, just like kind of chill, But when those when your fight or flight gets triggered, whether it's a PTSD response or somebody coming at you and scaring the hell out of you, whatever it is, we don't know, what's exactly is causing that trigger in our dog. So we can't read their minds. We can speculate and observe. But, we can really work towards desensitizing them and just, keeping their exercise and their diet healthy. When you feed your diet, I know there's so much food out there. I've been researching food. That's going to be a another episode. Maybe next week we'll do that. But, think of input, output, try and give them healthier foods, things that don't have dyes in them, things that are not highly processed, that don't have a ton of fillers. I don't care if they're natural fillers or not. Like, I don't care if it's like potatoes and, lentils and chickpeas and all this stuff. It's all fillers. Okay. So remember that. Choose your battles. And I just want you guys to think again of your dog as a whole being. So, exercise, so mentally, physically, and, with the vet blood work with your vet, examination with your vet. This is everything that you need to start to look at and get all the information you can about your pet and why they're freaking out. Now, another interesting thing that came up was medication and how different medications affect your vagus nerve. And so say you have your dog on a behavior modification drug, like say Prozac or something to that effect. Well, does that affect your vagus nerve? And according to the internet, it does. So, again, I'm not saying don't massage your dog. I'm not saying don't do breathing with them. I'm not saying you absolutely can click to calm. There's a whole program out there. And when your dog is relaxed, click reward or yes, reward. When they kind of like sigh, because they do that. They just like us, they sigh, and it's like that release. Reward that. Reinforce the calm state. Reinforce them when they're laying down and being calm. Reinforce them when they're just sitting there. Reinforce them when they're sleeping. Go up to them and give them a little piece of freeze-dried liver. Wake them up with freeze-dried liver, Capture those good moments, okay? So don't be fooled by advertising that is really just focused on nonsense, just a song, a marketing. I want you guys to peel the layers back and look back and buyer beware and do your research and, look at everything. And if you don't have time, guess what? I'm doing that for you. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next week when we start going into food, because I'm doing a whole different change with Tony and his diet and making him work. Talk about making a dog work. This little man's going to be working. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcast. And I love you and have a doggone positive day. Bye.